Turbos are a world champion and a scoring machine.
I'm Peter Park. I did it last week. This week I'm going to score.
How about 6 goals last week?
I'm Gary Gate, and I'm going to score tonight.
How about 4 goals last week?
I'm Armando Rodriguez, and I'm going to score.
How about 5 goals last week?
I'm Ted Sawicki. Buffalo's not going to score.
Kevin Alexander and the Buffalo Bandits try to slow down the Turbos next on Prime Network. I'm Craig Johnson along with Leif Elsmo, and tonight the world champions, the Detroit Turbos, take on the Buffalo Bandits. Detroit with 2 wins under their belt.
Well, they're the defending champions, a team that's loaded with offensive powerhouse scoring. The Gate brothers are who you think of when you talk about scoring, but this year Peter Park has moved himself into the #1 position. He's got 9 goals, 5 assists. He's definitely a force in close to the goal. Now, Paul Gate did not make the last game. He is a guy hungry to score and definitely a focal point for the defense of Buffalo.
The Bandits, a new team in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, but by no means a new team to the sport of lacrosse.
Not at all. This team has a lot of Canadian players. You're going to see a lot of the Canadian style of offense, a lot of behind-the-back shots, left hand, right hand, offense, all both ends of the field. Now, these players know the Detroit team because they played them in an exhibition this year. All these players played against each other in Canada. They are led by Darius Kilgore. He also has 9 goals, 5 assists. But the key to this team from Buffalo is the addition of Kevin Alexander, maybe the greatest player ever to play in Canada. Has not played box for 5 years. Came out last game, started controlling the face-offs for the Buffalo Bandits. He's a key to the potential win of Buffalo.
Bringing us closer to the action tonight is Bruce Todman. Let's go to Bruce right here and see what he has on our pregame comments. Bruce?
Thanks, Craig. I've been waiting a year for this to happen. Why? Because tonight, for the first time since the Gate twins entered the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, they're going to be facing a zone defense, which is banned in the NBA, but it's perfectly okay in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. What that means is that when Buffalo is on defense, they'll be in a 5-man stationary zone. This is going to force Detroit to shoot from the outside, and if the Buffalo goalie, Ross Cowie, can come up big, it's going to be a long night for the Turbos. So let's watch and see whether the blockade that Boss, Bandits, Buff McCready puts up can stifle the Detroit Turbos and their tons of guns. Craig, back to you.
Tonight's Major Indoor Lacrosse League game is brought to you by Coors Light. It's the right beer now. By U.S. Air. U.S. Air begins with you. By Reebok. Life is short. Play hard. By Prime Lacrosse. The power behind the game. And by General Motors. GM is putting quality on the road. We'll be back with the opening face-off on Prime Network. Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo, New York, ready for the matchup between the world champion Detroit Turbos and the Buffalo Bandits. It will be Gary Gate against Kevin Alexander. There you see the starting lineup for this matchup.
And there's a lot of experience added with the addition of Kevin Alexander. Look at this face-off. Alexander, already in the Hall of Fame in Canada, hasn't played for 5 years to become eligible, was inducted last year. They brought him back. He's 35 years old, number 26 for the Buffalo team.
Here's Gary Gate behind the back pass to Paul Gate. Being checked there by Kilgore. Paul Gate with a shot. The save by Cowie. Gary Gate gets it back and puts it into the back of the net. And it takes only 28 seconds for the Turbos to score.
Well, Gary Gait gets that loose ball. That is the key for any defense. You've got to get the ball when it's loose. The first time they make the save, but they didn't get the ball cleanly. Gary Gait picks it up, comes in. Goalie Cowie is out of position here again. Now the defense is broken down. They already started the fast break on the other end. There's the first drive. Nice save. Ball bounces. Now Gary picks it up. Defense is broken down. The zone is not there. And 1-0 Detroit.
Gary Gait against Kevin Alexander on the faceoff. That is a matchup we will be watching. For the Bandits, shot by Brian Hall, brought in by Ted Sawicki. Sawicki only played 1 half in the game against Pittsburgh last week. Gary Gait with a shot on Cowie, saved with a chest pass, and a pile up along the near side.
Whistle blown, they'll stop play. A lot of contact early. They're going to give the ball to Buffalo, but it will come back so they can reset back by the crease. Tough physical game right off the bat. Great. 12,000 people here really rooting Buffalo on. 0-2, you talked about it at the start of the game, but this team is really starting to feel their way through the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. They're ready for a win. They think tonight they can do it.
Well, the Bandits will start the offense with Hall at the point. And Kevin Alexander tried to take the ball in, but a loose ball hold will be the call.
There he is, Kevin Alexander, 35 years old, in the Hall of Fame in Canada. Tremendous player.
Alexander with a low shot. That one may have been blocked on the outside by Lancey.
He's trying to take advantage of that screen, Craig, and he just could not get it past the defense.
Gary Gait shot wide to the left side, going by Cowie. Nice defense there by Kevin Alexander.
That's the kind of shot they want to make Detroit take. The zone will pack up the cylinder extending straight from the pipe. They'll try to make Detroit shoot from the outside or from well in front of the goal.
Jerry Hill on the far side going against Dan Pratt. Takes it inside, trying to get it for Moradian. And Ted Sawicki picks up the loose ball. Finneran to Mueller along the near side.
The second line for Detroit is in right now, and Buffalo thinks if there's any line they can take advantage of, it might be this one. This one's a little bit slow in foot speed.
Whistle blown away from the play, holding the call against Dan Pratt. And the Bandits will have an opportunity. They trail by 1 with 12:56 to go, first quarter.
See how much motion they get on this offense. Again, they think they can beat the team speed of this particular unit that has Terry Martinello right there, 14, and Ronnie Martinello. Great shooters, but not very fast.
On the far side, Bandits trying to get some sort of offense as Moradian plays it back to Hill. Finneran on the defense and picks up the ball. Nice steal there. Terry Martinello for the Turbos as they get set for a line change, which will bring out Rodriguez, Mikula, Hart, Brock, and Hamilton.
The third line for Detroit, and the second line got out of the game without allowing a goal. Good job by Detroit.
Ryan Mikula to Armando Rodriguez. Back to Mikula. The left-hander gets it to Rodriguez, who fires from the outside and scores. And it's 2-0 at 12:09.
Now, Craig, that's a shot that Cowie has to save. The zone did its job. It made him shoot from the outside. There was really no screen involved. Watch Rodriguez just bounce it right inside, right through the old 5-hole, as Bruce Cosby would say. Watch it come up around front. This should have been a save. This is exactly the shot that you want Detroit to take if you're playing the zone, and the goalie has to make those saves or it's going to be a long night.
Rodriguez against Darius Kilgore on the face-off, and Kilgore is able to win it, takes it right in, tries for the shot, almost went right through Ted Sawicki, but Sawicki with a save.
That's the kind of shot they'll take on Sawicki. They feel like they can slam dunk over his head.
Rodriguez tried to pick it up, missed it. Mikula will pick up the loose ball, try to take it in. I believe he was trying to pass it to Rodriguez, but Cowie broke it up. Whistle away from the play will give possession to the Turbos after a penalty.
2-minute penalty on the Buffalo Bandits. They literally tackled Brian Mikula. Mikula, a great Canadian player.
John
Tavares.
Out of Toronto, Canada, one of the Canadians. 11 Canadians on this team.
And 13 on Detroit. So this is really a Canadian all-star game. And, of course, Buffalo being close to the border helps to feed this 12,000 plus. Watch Mikula. He's coming in, and the tackle right there, the shot to the head, is the one that gives him 2 minutes. Now, this is the most feared power play in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League. Detroit, the highest scoring team with the biggest offense, where they have a 5-4 advantage.
2 Gates, 2 Martinellos in a park out there. Martinello to Peter Park, who can't get the handle on the ball. Long pass, Cowie tried to get it to Brian Hall, but the pass went a tad long.
Well, Moravian should be lucky. Moravian, number 40, came out of the cylinder, left it wide open, and the Detroit team just missed the ball. They had a wide open shot because Moravian was flying downfield.
Paul Gate. Ron Martinello with a shot, and I believe Peter Park tried to put it in, and it came oh so close to that line. Long pass, Darius Kilgore breaking loose. Nice pass, but it went a little bit too far.
Holding penalty call on Terry Martinello. What a sweet play by Darius Kilgore. He's got 9 goals. He does it all, and he fed it off at the last moment. Take a look at this shot. 1 save there, 2 saves there, and 3 saves there for Cowie on the last exchange.
For the Buffalo Bandits, this is Paul Day. Correction, that's Derek Keenan.
And their first unit on the field, Craig. This is Kilgore's unit. They want to get the ball to him. He has twice as many goals as anybody else on the team, 9 goals.
Keenan with a shot from the outside. Sawicki loses it for a moment, but Gary Gate is able to pick up the loose ball. Sawicki in a panic situation there.
Well, Darius Kilgore cut across the crease and really caused a lot of confusion with his screen. Good job. Terry Martinello now controls.
The bigger of the Martinello brothers, as official timeout is called. We're going to take a break. 2-0. The score, Detroit leading over Buffalo, and we'll be back with more on Prime Network. Back at Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo.
And the scoring has really picked up. Darius Kilgore got Buffalo on the mark. Watch Kilgore in a fast break. Put it right in the face of Sawicki. 1 fake, then over the shoulder. They find that that's where they want to shoot against Sawicki. Then, in a power play situation, Gary Gate goes all the way down. They get the ball to him low after Terry Martinello had cleared out. Look at 14 inside. Pulled the defense in. Gary Gate had the open shot, and that leaves Detroit ahead 3-1.
7:33 to go here at Memorial Auditorium.
And that Palace should be Kilgore, I believe, on that score for the Buffalo Bandits. And just moments ago, the goalie for the Bandits, Cowie, had 2 sensational saves against the Gate brothers down here to keep the score 3-1. They're going to need that exceptional goalkeeping from Cowie because they don't feel that he's a world beater in the goal. He's a very steady goalie. They need an exceptional game from him to keep the Bandits in the game.
Cowie went to the same school as Ted Sawicki, Brock University, home of the Badgers up in Canada.
And the school puts out a lot of good goalies. Nobody's better than Ted Sawicki. The zone now trying to be effective against the high-powered offense.
Cowie able to pick up the loose ball. And Buffalo on the fast break. Hall shot hits the top post.
Goalie's best friend, the pipe, sends that one back. Sawicki was beaten.
Sawicki out of the crease, going to try to start a fast break. Here's Gary Gate for the Turbos, dressed in their purple with silver and black trim. The Bandits in orange and black.
See a lot of pushing in there, trying to get position. Sebastian pushing the defense all over the field.
Finneran loses control of the ball, taken away by Hamley. Let's take a look at that last replay.
Well, the pipe was the goalie's best friend, and that's what happened for Sawicki. Look at this, wide open on the fast break, coming out of the box. Sawicki stands his ground, over the shoulder, right off the pipe. Tremendous save, because he made the shooting margin so small, not allowing any room for the goal. So the score remains 3-1 in favor of Detroit.
Here's one half of the Martinello clan on the field. Terry Martinello takes it over. Nice fake by Kevin Finneran, unable to get it past Ross Cowie. Terry Martinello going after it.
Greg Emick playing that lower side of the zone. You really got to keep the shot away from where he let him get in close. Emick to protect that zone a little better.
Here comes Veltman. Takes it into the corner, where Keenan will try to move around Pratt. He's unable to, and it's picked up by Ron Martinello. Try to get a fast break to Finneran, but I believe we may have a penalty call.
I think it's a substitution penalty. Detroit really comes out of the box fast, and I believe that's what they're going to call them on a penalty infraction. They came out of the box too early. That will put Mueller in the box for 2 minutes. This is the first power play opportunity for the Bandits.
The Bandit power play unit made up of the two Kilgore brothers along with Alexander, Tavares, and Keenan.
And the new addition here is Kevin Alexander, 26. He'll be out front. He's the quarterback of this power play. Here's a guy who scored 3 goals in 14 seconds one time to have the all-time fastest goals in the least amount of time in Canada. Right there, 26.
Alexander with a shot. Sawicki with a save. Caught it in his chest, looking for a long pass for Gary Gate. Goes a little bit too far as Cowie pulls it in.
Now if they can push it up, they're going to have a 4-on-2. Can they move it fast enough?
Here is Derek Keenan for the Bandits. Loads up and fires. Goes wide to the left side. Sebastian pulls it in. And now the Turbos on a break. Here comes John Hamilton down 1-on-1. Shot and a score.
Fast breaks kill you when you play Detroit. You cannot let them get a break on you. They score more goals man down than most teams score when they're man up. Here they were, man down. Hamilton comes flying out of the box. He's got fresh legs. The young rookie, one-on-one with the goalie, fakes him to the left to freeze his position and then puts it over the shoulder. Watch the fake to the left-hand side of the goalie. Right there, freezes the goalie, and then he just puts it in the white spot over his right shoulder.
4-1 with 5:13 to go here at Memorial Auditorium, and I believe Mito Martinello would like to talk it over with the Turbos as he takes a timeout. We'll take a timeout right here. 5:13 to go. 4-1 Turbos.
Anyhow, we drive up the road.
4-1 Turbos with 4:09 to go and 20 seconds left to go in a power play for the Bandits, but a shorthanded situation being used very well. Let's go down to Bruce Todman. Bruce?
Hello, Craig. During that last timeout, the Bandits have decided that they're rushing the ball too much. They're going to stop the fast break. They're going to slow it down, take time with their plays.
Probably pretty good strategy, Liz.
Well, you can't win a foot race with the Detroit team. Fast breaks are accounting for about 30% of their goals, and that's one of the keys to this team from Buffalo staying in the game. They've got to stop the fast break of the Detroit Turbos.
Buffalo unable to capitalize on the power play as Dan Pratt clears out Jerry Hiltz from the offensive side on the other end. Paul Gates to Mueller, 1-on-1, and a nice save by Cowie.
Great save by Cowie. Now they can be in a foot race down the other end if they can get the ball. No possession. That'll kill you if you can't get the ball in your stick. Right here on Sawicki's end. Watch Pratt drive him right through the crease. He was in a dangerous position in the cylinder, so Pratt says, I'll take the penalty rather than the goal. Now on the other end, an easy shot from Mueller and a sensational save for Cowie, bringing up his right shoulder. Opportunities lost on both ends.
And the officials have whistled an official timeout to adjust the equipment of Ted Sawicki, the great goaltender out of Brock University, St. Catharines, Ontario, his hometown.
Mito Martinello, there he is, the defending champion team's coach. Tremendous offense here. They lead the league in all offensive categories. And Buffalo doesn't want the lead to get any more than this. In the indoor lacrosse league, 3 goals is really not that bad. You're still in the game. They want to settle down, Buffalo does, and inch their way back.
Just under 2:50 to go in the quarter as Kilgore Rich loads up and tries the shot. He's unable to try it. Try to get it to Brother Darris, but no luck there.
Terry Martinello bringing it down. He has lost a tremendous amount of weight. Great condition this year.
Tried to get it over to his brother, Ron Martinello. He didn't have any luck either. Long pass by Cowie, intended for Mahar, and that one goes too long.
Well, that's one of the secrets to a fast break. You know, Cowie's had guys broken downfield at the right time. He's breaking downfield, the players are, but he's not getting the outlet pass to the people in the proper trajectory. I mean, he laid that baby out, but it's too far down. So Sawicki, on the other hand, is pinpointing his passes.
Peter Park, as the new line comes in, Hamilton with a shot save. Cowie. Park tried to pick up the loose ball. Thought he even had it. Hamilton going after it with Hamley. And Nicola shot goes over the top.
Both teams a little squeamish, Craig, in the cylinder because of that kind of contact. They are really hitting around the crease.
Ryan Nicola off the pick, takes the shot, goes wide to the right side. And this allows a break opportunity for the Bandits. Here's Tavares to Hall. To Tavares. Kilgore with a shot, and Rich Kilgore's shot saved by Sawicki. Tavares tries it. That one goes wide.
Sawicki made an exceptional save with his gloved hand. It was going right into the corner. He brought his gloved hand up at the last moment.
This is Keenan. To Tavares. Back to Derek Keenan, number 45 in the orange and black of Buffalo. Inside, nifty move by Beltman, but couldn't get it past Sawicki.
Detroit outshooting the Buffalo team 15-10, and that's shots on goal, 15-10.
John Lancey will start at the point as the first line comes in. Gary Gait looking for the shot behind the back to brother Paul, and it's a score.
Well, they don't do it any better than that. What a sensational goal by the Gait brothers. This is what drives defenses crazy. It was Gary that drew the attention of two defenders. He faked once, he faked twice. Watch, one fake, he hesitates. Two fakes around the back, he just wraps that pass to Paul. Meanwhile, the defense was giving him all the attention. Once again, the attention, two players on Gary, wraps it around to Paul. Paul just redirects it past the goalie. No chance for Cowie on that one. That was a goal against the defense.
Buff McCready wants to talk it over with his Bandits team as Buffalo calls timeout. 5-1. The Turbos lead it with 50 seconds to go, and let's find out what's going on down at the bench. Bruce Todman, take it away.
Well, you can hear Coach Buff McCready there just trying to comment. He's not that upset. Here's a guy who played at a very high level in the goal in Canada, has a great reputation as a hard-nosed player. He knows that this game is very early. We're in the first quarter. He didn't see any craziness in that huddle. He had him in there giving him very pointed directions on how to get back into this game with control. The last thing you want to do, Craig, is give the Gait brothers the ball within 2-3 yards of the goalie, and that's what's happened too many times.
Alexander able to win the face-off, but apparently illegal procedure will be the call. And the Turbos will gain possession with 41 seconds to go. And a penalty has been called. Keenan will go to the box for 2 minutes. And that will give the Turbos an opportunity for a power play at the end of the first quarter. 5-1. The score with 41.3 seconds to go.
Clock having a little bit of trouble here. The main clock, 8:47, I guess, is or 4:13. What is the actual time? Very bizarre. Oh, that's
38.2.
38 seconds. Very good. So you're way ahead of this stuff, Greg. Way ahead of me, that's for sure.
Peter Park trying to get the ball. Excellent defense being played by Veltman. Behind the back, Park.
They're gambling a little bit down in there, Craig. Brian Hall comes across a little bit early.
Paul Gait tried the shot with 20 seconds to go, and with 15, here come the Bandits. Moradian flips it over to Kerr. He takes the shot. That one won't go as Sawicki saves it. 5 seconds to go. Gary Gait with 4. Gary Gait with 2. Peter Park with a shot at the buzzer. After 1 quarter of play, the Detroit Turbos lead 5-1. And this is something that Buff McCready will have a lot to talk about during the break.
He had a chance to get one right there. He had a fast break. They've got to stick him in there because you won't get that many chances.
We'll be back with more on Prime Network. There you see the City Hall of the city of Buffalo, a very proud sports tradition, especially this weekend in the city of Buffalo. This is the Memorial Auditorium, and in the first quarter, 5 goals for the Turbos, 1 for the Bandits.
And look at that, 2 goals straight for Detroit before Buffalo got it on the mark. 2-1, they're in the ball game now. Hamilton and Gait are threatening to put this game out of reach. Buffalo has to take advantage of their offensive chances. Ending the first quarter, Craig, they had a fast break. They should have stuck it. They held the ball a little bit too long, and Sawicki makes the big save.
And the Turbos in purple will have 1 minute to go in a power play to start the second quarter. And the power play unit made up of the 2 Martinello brothers, the 2 Gait brothers, and Peter Park.
Paul Gait, the trigger man up top right there. He's got the ball, leading goal scorer last year.
Ron Martinello with a shot right through.
Well, let's see how long the crowd stays on Buffalo's side. They are not giving much protection to Cowie. This time, Ronnie Martinello walks right on top of him, not giving him much of a chance as you look at Cowie. Watch again. Wraps it around to Ronnie Martinello. Look at the defense. It sagged in, leaving him wide open, and he just cranked it. The sheer velocity of the shot beats Cowie, but the defense had sacrificed their position, giving Ronnie Martinello the open shot.
Bruce Codman talked before the game about the zone defense. Do you think they may be getting a little bit paranoid that might not be working?
Well, of course, that was man down. That was 5-on-4, so you're playing a zone, but that 4 position has to keep that position. You can't sacrifice it, and that's what they did right there. The guy on the point, it has to be a square. He left his position. Ronnie Martinello was wide open.
Ball stolen away as Tavares tried to pass it through, but I believe we will see a penalty called against the Turbos. It will go against 24, Paul Brock.
All right, here you go. Look at this. You can't wrap both hands around. They'll give you the wrap check. You can wrap the stick around on a check. When you start using the off hand, that's when you end up over here for a little 2-minute rest.
So a power play opportunity now for the Buffalo Bandits.
Critical power play. I think this is the most critical point of the game for them. They've got to get a goal on this.
This is Alexander running at the point. Over to Rich Kilgore. This is Keenan with a shot and a score.
Well, Keenan had a lot of net to shoot at, and that's why he took it. He gets the ball out high. He sees that his angle is excellent, and boy, did he position that bounce shot beautifully. First, Alexander gives it to him. Look how far out he is. The defender had slacked in too much. He looked first, saw he had a lot of room. Watch that. He takes a glance. He says, gosh, I've got a lot of room, a lot of angle, and a good bounce shot with nobody in between. Puts that one in. Keenan gives the Buffalo Bandits their second goal.
In New York at Ithaca College, although a native of Oshawa, Ontario. And right off, went to school in New York at Ithaca College, although a native of Oshawa, Ontario. Of Oshawa, Ontario. And right off the bat, it's a situation where it looked like the Bandits were going to get another quick one. But right back, here come the Turbos, Park. And Mikula taps it in for the goal.
Well, that play was set up by Hamley, who really gambled too early. Hamley makes a diving attempt to get it. Watch Hamley. Watch Hamley. Right there, he tries to steal that pass from Park. Now, once Park runs by him, Hamley cannot be a factor in the game, and that means a 2-on-1. Hamley gambles, he loses it. Park comes down 2-on-1. A bad gamble for Hamley, sending up a 2-on-1 to beat the goalie, Cowie. Now, Cowie has had a lot of shots right in his face. I don't fault him for this score. 7-2, I fault the defense.
There is Kilgore with a shot, bounces off the turf and into the stand. 7-2. The Turbos leading with 13:35 to go in the half. And the Bandits with the ball. Hilt, shot, score. Jerry Hilt from Peterborough, Ontario. The lefty puts it in.
Well, this is what you got to get going. The offense has to start cranking it up and wearing out Teddy Sawicki. He's a first-team All-Pro. You've got to start wearing him down. Hilt comes in against the moving pick, sets up a good left-handed shot, and 2 times in a row the bounce shot has burned Sawicki. Normally, these outside shots do not take that much of an effect on Teddy. That is really a good sign. 2 of the last 3 goals going in the net for the Buffalo Bandits. 7-3, they're still in the ballgame.
There is Kilgore once again against Gary Gait on the face-off. Gait fighting for the ball. It's loose underneath, picked up by Day, and Day will come away with it. Here's Day. Has Hiltz to his right, but he'll take the shot. Sawicki with a pad save. Lemon will play it back to Ted Sawicki. The long pass. Gary Gait shot bounces off the turf onto the net, into the stand, and it'll be possession. Turbos.
Well, I must have said that the goalie got the teeth of it, so they give it back to Detroit. But 2 great things on that play. One was the pinpoint accuracy of goalie Teddy Sawicki. He hit Gait, and Gait was about 50 yards out in front. Now in the fast break, Cowie made a good judgment call and made a sensational block when he didn't take the fake of Gary Gait. We're looking at Cowie there, and there's Gary Gait, who made the fake that Cowie didn't bite for, and he made the save. Now, though, you see in the box, did you get the number on that, Craig?
Brian Lemon goes into the penalty box for an illegal check.
So it'll be 4-on-4 at this point. Doesn't make any sense. We've got 4-on-4. There's a penalty on 2 players possible.
We'll try to pick it up for you, but it is indeed 4-on-4. As Paul Gait behind the goal, Gary Gait trying to pick up the loose ball, but loses his stick. Here comes Bill Kerr.
The Canadian players, Greg, love this open field. Now it's 4-on-4. It creates more space for the great Canadian offensive skills. Detroit's very dangerous in this situation. I suspect Buffalo is going to be equally dangerous.
Keenan, the shot by Brian Hall, unable to get into the net, and Pat Lee will pick it up. Sawicki looking for the long pass, as he always does. Will take it back to Pat Lee across midfield.
Nobody makes the outlet pass better than Teddy Sawicki.
Pat Lee going one-on-one against Derek Keenan. Keenan with excellent defense. 10 on the shot clock. And Gary Gait will try to play it. 5 on the shot clock. Gait with 3 on the shot clock. And Gait loses the ball and the stick. Clancy trying to pick it up, and Veltman with an excellent hit on Pat Lee.
And the ball goes over to Buffalo. They gave him the 2 hits. I think they got away with something. Watch Veltman. He wraps him with his left hand. That's a foul in my book, but he gets away with it. Slashes the stick out of his hand. Tough, good defense by the Bandits.
Gary Gait comes away with the ball. Away from a flying Veltman. Gary Gait fakes. Fires it, but can't get it in. New 30 on the shot clock. Gary Gait backs it in. His shot goes wide to the right side. Picking it up, Derek Keenan for the Buffalo Bandits.
Greg, I think that save was made off the stick, off the pole of Cowie on that shot by Gait. He has really been sensational when given a chance in the goal.
Still a 4-on-4 situation. As loose ball holding the stoppage of play.
Watch Cowie there. See if it doesn't get off the stick. A lot of activity in here. He's down off on his knees. This was after I think he made the stick save off the back end of a stick. Ball's back up. He's all around the place. Shots coming. 3 shots in a row he made saves on. But look at this one for a goal, Craig. Right in his face. The defense has to clear the cylinder.
Peter Park from UBC.
And watch again how they move the ball in. They've got to keep, the idea of a zone is not to get shots right there. You've got to keep the ball away from that area. Peter Park, a tremendous target at 6'5", 225 when he's close to the crease.
We mentioned in the game against Pittsburgh that Peter Park's height gives him so many advantages because he can come from the side or the top.
He is just so impossible to guard when he's down that close. That's why it's almost better to front him. Put your defender in front of him between the ball and Peter Park, because once he gets it, it's almost certain that he'll get a shot off.
John Tavares. Here's Hamley with a shot off the pad. Tavares going back after it. Unable to keep the ball. Kevin Finneran will take it the other way for the Turbos. Kilgore plays him off. Darius Kilgore. Inside, Terry Martinello with a shot. That one blocked by Cowie. Follow-up, Mueller. That one won't go.
Another good save by Cowie. He has really been doing a great job again. If he gets any kind of a chance to read the shot, he's making the save.
And it's come downfield. Moradian on the near side at the wing.
You know, Greg, if I have to read the goalies, I think so far, Cowie has outplayed Sawicki. Just like that. Cowie's making the better saves in close. It's just that Buffalo is not shooting enough quality shots against Sawicki. He is not on top of his game. That makes it 8-4. And as we look at Ted Sawicki, I don't think he's that sharp tonight. He's a first-team All-Pro player, but he certainly isn't making great saves tonight. Buffalo just hasn't been shooting enough. Again, beating 4 players, and right on top of Sawicki, he hasn't seen that much pressure all night. One defender makes a gambled move at the defense, doesn't get him, and 2 other players let the offense come right down in front of Sawicki. 8-4.
Mike Berradian with the goal, and now that makes 4 different Bandits that have scored their 4 goals. 8 for the Turbos, 10:19 to go, second quarter. We're back in a moment. Craig Johnson, Leif Elsmo, Packard Memorial Auditorium, 9-4 Turbos.
And here's the way they do it. Sawicki up the great outlet pass, hitting a speeding Peter Park. All 6'5" of him comes down. He glances behind him. Nobody there to distract his shot. Makes the fake to the one pipe. No way Cowie can make that save. You've got to stop the fast break. Look at this. Every time Buffalo scores, it's Detroit who comes back and cuts off their offensive push. They've matched goals with them, maintaining the 5-goal lead, 9-4.
Bandits on the power play as we join the action. Jack Sebastian called for a 2-minute penalty. And trying to take a quick opportunity was Kevin Alexander. But Sawicki stopped that.
And now man down, Detroit is very, very dangerous. Buffalo McCready told me they're not going to try to challenge this. Even though they have 5 guys out there for Buffalo, they're not going to get too risky against the only 4 players for Detroit. They don't want to get burned when they're a man up.
Veltman called with a loose ball push.
Here you go. You'll see one player, Veltman, comes down and challenges the ball, but the other guys are back in the hole. They're not going to give them an easy goal to Detroit, even though Detroit has a man disadvantage.
Paul Gate wasting time, which is a very good thing to do when you're a man down.
Well, Craig, so many teams have gone out and double-teamed Detroit in this situation, and they end up eating a goal because of it. Detroit can move the ball so well, and they have so many offensive shooters.
Paul Gate held the ball for 30 seconds.
We talk about Detroit winning. Wait a minute, fast break coming here, possibility to score. But here are the keys again for Detroit. They have that patience against the zone. They've had that so far. 6 or more fast break goals. They're well on their way to that, and they've got to stay out of the penalty box. They're doing that very well. For Buffalo, they've got to keep Detroit shots outside, and they haven't done that. Control the faceoff. They've done a pretty good job there, but they have not stopped the fast break. So Buffalo failing at 2 out of 3. Detroit winning at 2 out of 3 so far. Hence the lead by the Detroit Turbos.
The Turbos with 45 seconds to go in a man-down situation. Park at midfield. Park into the offensive zone as Nikula and Gate come in to the game to help him out, but Peter Park's going to stand behind the goal and wait for somebody to come after him.
Well, Buff McCready said he's not going to get burned if he can help it. They've already been burned once when they had a man up. They don't want to go ahead and give up too many that way. Hamley now.
Hamley, if he gets the ball, has an excellent opportunity, but Brian Nikula plays him off the ball. 15 seconds in the man-down situation. Brock with a shot, saved by Cowie.
Nikula played that beautifully. Made the good hustling play to get the ball, and then found the man on the far side. Now Nikula's tired, Craig. He's got to play defense.
Here's Keenan with a shot and a score.
Boy, you know, if you give these 12,000 fans a little chance, they're going to be a big factor in this game. And Buffalo hangs tough. Keenan, one of the most feared shooters in Canada, gets the feed here. Now it's one-on-one. He'll come in and just whip it over the shoulder. Sawicki doesn't know which way he's going to go. Defense can't get there in time. Nikula tried. I talked about him being tired, and Nikula trailed that play by just a step after really hustling the play before. Credit Keenan with a sensational shot. Buffalo pushing the action right into the face of Sawicki.
At one time, the score was 6-1 Detroit. Now 9-5. Turbos with 6:18 to go.
So they picked up 1 goal in that span, and if they can just eat their way back, they're going to be in good shape.
Here's Kerr now for the Bandits. O'Hanlon with a shot, saves Sawicki. And here's Hilt. Let's go down to Bruce Todman.
Thanks, Craig. In the first quarter, all of the shooting from the Bandits was low. The book on Sawicki is shoot high. They're doing it now, and they picked up 4 goals in the second quarter. Look for more of it. Back to you, Craig.
And the Turbos having a rough time figuring how to get it around Ross Cowie. Finneran sends it up to Mueller. Back to Finneran. The former Blazer gets it to Terry Martinello with a shot. And Mueller picks up the loose ball, whistle away from the play, and Ron Martinello and Jerry Hiltz.
Well, we're going to send Martinello in the box for that. Hiltz was really hammering Martinello, and then Ronnie retaliated, and Hiltz really got himself an Oscar on this one. 2-minute penalty for Martinello.
We'll be back with more 9-5 Turbos. 5:24 to go. Detroit with a 10-5 lead, 3:30 to go.
Here's how they get it. They overplay Paul Gate. Look at too much pressure. Three guys converge on leaving Gary wide open. He sets the goalie high, dropped it below, and that made the score 10-5. And here we go again. Second shot at it. Once you get three players on you, leave somebody wide open. You don't want Gary wide open one-on-one with the goalie. A great chance, a 5-minute major penalty against Detroit. And Buffalo really, Craig, has not had any good shots against Teddy Sawicki.
2 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the extra man situation. 2:56 in the half. 10-5 Detroit.
And these majors are good for conceivably 2 goals because the guy didn't come out of the box the first time.
Darius Kilgore looked like he was going to pass it. That one intercepted cleanly by Gary Gate. Gary Gate trying to take it all the way down. Pulled down from behind by Brian Hall, and that may put one of the Bandits in the penalty box.
I think Brian Hall will go, and he literally tackled Paul Gate as he came on the fast break. But I am really shocked at Buffalo with a 5-minute penalty. That means you can score once, you're still man up, you score again, then you're all even. You should get 2 goals out of it, especially with the exceptional skills they have on offense. But their slopping is really, really sloppy. Bruce, what do you got down there?
Well, Leaf, during the last timeout, the Bandits are talking about the things they have to do against the Turbos. They've got to get inside. They've got to shoot high on Sawicki, but they've got to stop sliding on defense. They've got to stay man on defense when they're man up.
Well, right now it's a 4-on-4 situation for the Turbos. Gary and Paul Gate along with Brian Lemon and Peter Park.
So effectively, they've taken themselves to have a 5-minute major advantage by not taking good shots.
Paul Gate tried to get one in on Cowie. Cowie with a save.
It'll be possession only to Buffalo.
So in a 4-on-4 situation, the Bandits will play it down with Bill O'Hanlon along the far side.
Well, their slapping from the point has been, their passing from the point has been very sloppy. The guy in the point, which was Alexander on their power play, now he's moved low, and it's been Kilgore, Rich Kilgore, up top the last couple times. Now it's 4-on-4, so this is not a power play.
Hiltz for Buffalo. Moving over to his right, tried to center it, stolen away. Here comes Gary Gate.
Forget it. Number 11. Ooh, great save.
Nice save by Cowie.
I jinxed him.
Sebastian with a follow-up. That one will be deflected wide by Cowie.
Well, Cowie has a real good-looking first half. He's really got a lot of replay-type saves right in his face.
10-5, Turbos with 1:39 in the half. Here comes Gary Gate, broken up there nicely by Bill O'Hanlon. And Cowie comes out of the crease to pick it up.
Moving pick call will go back to Detroit, but Cowie's been sensational. He has really looked better than Teddy Sawicki, who was the first team All-Pro. Sawicki maybe on an off night, but really hasn't been challenged consistently by Buffalo. Look at this, Cowie right in his face, the defense shoving everybody through the crease, and Cowie comes way outside of his protected area to get possession. Again, Gary Gate driving in, the defense not being effective in taking him out of the play, but the last check saves the day.
1:15 to go in the half. Nikkula tries to get it in. And a whistle. This time it will be a holding call.
He better get back. He's going to be out of position. Hiltz thinks it's for the other team. That'll be a delay of game, possibly. But anyway, it was Kerr that had his arm wrapped around the Gate brother. Got to watch the offhand of the stick.
Nikkula and Rodriguez join Park and Lemon in the 4-on-4 unit. O'Hanlon picks up the loose ball as Rodriguez lost it. O'Hanlon against Rodriguez. Gets it. Meridian with a shot. Pretty save by Ted Sawicki.
You can see that they've had about 4 fast breaks they have not scored on. That has really hurt the Buffalo Bandits.
42 on the game clock in the half. Terry Martinello with a shot going high, and with 35 seconds, here come the Bandits. Shot by Hall as he comes out of the box and takes a shot immediately.
And Sawicki's looking sharper. He's taking those shots right in his face and making the great saves. Buffalo has given Sawicki a chance to get back in form.
Shot by Hall, deflected over the top by Sawicki, and 16.3 seconds remain in the half. Buffalo with one more opportunity.
Greg, they had a great chance halfway through this quarter. They did not make good shots. Sawicki, in the meantime, has gotten on top of his game. He made 3 sensational saves in the last 60 seconds.
Sawicki may just hold it for the buzzer. And the horn sounds, ending the first half. 10-5 the score. At one time it was 6-1, and we thought the Turbos were going to run away with it.
So basically Buffalo has played even in the second quarter, but they had opportunities to get right back in and tie this game. They are going to really look back on this game if they lose it and say...
Game this week, Paul Gate is definitely back.
He's back, and he makes it very, very difficult when he's playing with his brother. Watch the defense slide up to try to double-team Paul. The defense comes from the left. As soon as it gets there, 3 players on him. Gary's wide open. Paul dishes it off and drops it in behind goalie Cowie. That's what makes it so difficult to play these 2 guys from the field at the same time. Playing one Gate is tough enough, but when he can dish off to another identical twin, it's almost impossible to play defense.
Bruce Todman's had the best seat in the house, right down on the bench. Let's go to him for his halftime comments. Bruce?
Thanks, Craig. The story down here has been the inability of the Buffalo Bandits to score. The zone we talked about, the Bandit blockade, is working, basically. Cowie has been outstanding in the net. Where it's broken down is when they've been too excited to try to get out of their end early. They've made mistakes, and the Turbos are getting goals on 2-on-1 and 3-on-1. They've got to stop that, and they've got to beat all-time All-Pro Ted Sawicki, too. Back to you, Craig.
Second half of play coming up when we return on Prime Network. We are back in the very, very loud sports city of Buffalo, New York at the Memorial Auditorium, 10-5, and during the halftime, well, there you see some of the wacky Buffalo Bandit fans.
You know, Craig, we haven't talked about it too much, but this is Super Bowl weekend right here, and there's some of the fans, 12,000 strong, have come out here to support the Bandits. This crowd wants to get involved, but every time the Bandits start a scoring spree, it's quickly, the fire is put out by the Detroit Turbos.
Start of the second half, and the Turbos will control the ball. John Lancey, the rookie, will bring it down for the Turbos in purple, the Bandits in black and orange.
Lancey, number 5 for Detroit, playing in his hometown. He played high school ball not too far from here.
Rich Kilgore brings down Gary Gate, and they will call Rich Kilgore for 2 minutes. And we've only played about 18 seconds.
Well, exactly what you don't want to do, give Detroit a man advantage. Now they're 5-on-4, but look at Rich Kilgore. I think this team, Kilgore and his brother, a combination that's very, very potent on offense for the Buffalo Bandits. Each of these guys, 50% Iroquois. They live on a reservation close by, and of course the Indian reservations up here in upstate New York. Tremendous lacrosse programs.
So the extra man situation as Ron Martinello tries the shot. Saved by Kelly. Bandits on the fast break. Darius Kilgore catches up with the ball behind the back on the shot. Paul Gate going after the loose ball. Underhanded pass to Terry Martinello.
The Bandits did a nice job of releasing Kilgore from the box to set up the fast break. He had the shot. Again, a fast break opportunity lost. They're not getting the shots against Sawicki that they would like to have in those fast breaks.
There you see Paul Gate to Terry Martinello. Back to Paul Gate. Ron Martinello. Gate from the point. Shot, score.
Nothing to it, set up by Ronnie Martinello, but once he collapses the defense, he gives it back to Paul Gate. Paul Gate playing the trigger man out front. Cowie totally disgusted with that lack of a save. Watch the defense collapse on Ronnie. Now, Paul just lines it up, says, I think I can make this one. Bounce shot, about 95 miles an hour. Right here, bingo. The defense had already collapsed on Ronnie Martinello. He gives it back out. A longer shot, but he felt he had something to shoot at and just takes an unobstructed shot. We look at Terry Martinello, but that goal was by Paul Gate playing the trigger, the point. And Terry Martinello will go for a face-off. There's Paul Gate right now. 6-goal lead again, Craig.
13:47 to go in the third quarter as it's all even up.
That's why you got to really ask Rich Kilgore, what are you doing putting us in a man-down situation early on? We got a 5-goal deficit, and you're putting us down by 1. It cost us.
For the Turbos, Terry Martinello bringing it down to set up the offense. Tried to get it to Kevin Finner, and he loses control of the ball. Here comes Jerry Hiltz. Hiltz down the far side. Finneran breaks it up by taking his stick away. Here's Alexander behind the crease, going against Dan Pratt.
Kevin Alexander taught the Gate brothers to do the face-off technique. They taught them about many of the great plays that the Canadian players bring down from Canada from the box league, because he taught them as junior players in Canada. Alexander, 35 years old, got about 11, 12 years age-wise on the great Paul and Gary Gate. But this was one of the heroes, Kevin Alexander, of Paul and Gary Gate as they progressed through the system in Canada.
That's Barry Powless with the ball. Powless with a shot high, and 30-second violation as the clock ran out.
I think that was Derek Keenan, 45. All right.
Well, there's a 15 down there, and there's also a 45, so you make the call.
We'll have to play it over again, but anyway, one of them suits that.
That is Armando Rodriguez. To Brian Nicola. Back to Rodriguez. Turbos are just going to wait for a good shot here.
Well, right. Obviously, Detroit not in a hurry. They've got the 30-second clock, but they're going to eat up about 25 seconds of it.
8 on the shot clock. Nicola moving in. Nice defensive play by Hall. Park almost gets control of the ball. Ball is loose in front of the crease. Picked up by Powless. Centering pass. Alexander. Being guarded by Armando Rodriguez. Alexander off the pick by Hall. 10 on the shot clock as Powless has it. 7 on the shot clock. This is Keenan with a shot and a score. 3 seconds on the shot clock as Keenan fires it in.
Keenan, known for the cannon shot from outside. He's a tremendously accurate shooter. Finally gets in good position. He'll come around. He'll set up with a little bit of a screen. He'll juke his defenseman, and then with the screen of that defenseman, he sees a little bit of white. Watch here as he sets up in front of his defender, and seeing a little bit of white on the far side of Sawicki, he finds it with a bounce shot. Sawicki has been beaten, as we look at Derek Keenan, 3 times on bounce shots from the outside.
Keenan with a hat trick tonight, 11-6. Turbos lead with 11:41 to go.
Keenan's second straight goal. He scored 3 of the last 5 goals for the Bandits.
Loose ball hold will give the Bandits the ball. There's Mahar. Kilgore inside to Tavares for the score.
Well, that's the way you do it. No goalie can defend that. Tavares was poaching down by the crease. Now look, he looks all the way across to find him, and Kilgore sees him all the way down the pipe. Tavares just sticks it behind Sawicki, who is trying to cut down the angle. First of all, Kilgore pulls the whole defense out. Meanwhile, Sawicki is standing about 2 yards in front of the crease. That rifle feed found Tavares right alongside the pipe. Good offensive movement.
Rich Kilgore with the assist on that last one. Darius Kilgore almost took it for a fast break, but instead, here's the Turbos. Finneran with a shot high.
Once again, Craig, the key here is to get 2 or 3. They need bunches of goals.
Tavares, shot off the post.
Tavares really waking up the offense for the Bandits.
Rich Kilgore, shot by Mahar, goes wide.
Mugged by Terry Martinello. Watch this fast break. Tavares comes down, head fake to the near post, and then he tries to deke it in behind the goalie Sawicki, and it hits the pipe and came back out.
John Tavares for the Bandits. Looked like he was trying to get it to Kilgore, but it might have been a shot.
Well, you had that called right. Kilgore sneaking in front of the crease.
Mahar jumping in and trying to get the shot. That last shot would not have counted because Mahar was in the crease.
Well, that was another good chance to get 3 in a row. Good job to get the 2. Now they need to put a cap on this drive. They need bunches of goals, and that would really electrify the crowd. Bringing it back to within 3, it would be 11-8 if they can get the next one. Critical goal. Buffalo needs to keep the pressure on.
Rodriguez will give it to Brian Nicola. Back to Armando Rodriguez. His own defense allows Rodriguez to shot from the outside. picking it up. Mahar into the offensive zone. Here's Rich Kilgore.
Rich Kilgore looking down low. You can tell he likes the feed. And of course, tremendous speed on the last goal.
Bill Kerr for the Bandits in their black and orange. Day back to Kerr on the left side of the goal. 5 on the shot clock. Kerr losing control of the ball. Nikula will pick the ball up. Would have been a 30-second violation nonetheless.
Nikula did a nice job. When the shot clock wound down, he put pressure on the offense.
Nikula with a shot, hits the post. Off the rebound, Sebastian will take it. Over to his right to Hamilton. Hamilton spins, shoots. And Cowie with a save.
Cowie was burned a couple times in those low shots early on in the game. He dropped down to his knees that time.
Jerry Hiltz has Meridian if he wants them. Takes the shot wide to the left side, over the top. Who did it go off of? Officials will say Detroit ball.
You know, Greg, when a goalie is as good as Sawicki is, it makes you double think your shots, and that can really hurt you as a good shooter. Buffalo has to forget that he's a first-team All-Pro, and they have to bring the first fake and then shoot it. They're holding the ball too long on the fast break.
Hallgate with a high shot, blocked by Cowie. Here comes Hilt, up to Hall. Hall shot, saves Sawicki. 8:35 to go in the third quarter. 11-7 Turbos. Gary Gate from Paul. His shot saved by Cowie. Ball in front of the crease. A big fight for it. Pat Lee tried to get it, but was unable to. We're going to be back right after this on Prime Network. We are back at Memorial Auditorium, offsetting Majors. The call after a fight. We have a 5-on-5 situation. The Bandits trying to come back, trailing 11-7.
Next goal critical. They can get back to win 3. They need to get a good shot. They've had plenty of them. They just can't put away the fast break on Teddy Sawicki.
John Veltman with an excellent defensive play. Now trying it on the other side. Shot taken. That time by Thomas Emick.
All right, this is a tired line in there for Detroit. You'll see him come off. They'll make a line switch, which will give the new line only about 20 seconds or less to get a shot off.
Hamilton, Brock, Nikula, Park, and Armando Rodriguez, the line for Detroit. This is Nikula.
I think Greg Rodriguez, remember, promised us a brand new play. We'll see if we can pick it up.
Here is Nikula. Passed it through to Rodriguez. Bruce Todman, what do you have for us?
Well, Craig, on the bench here, the Turbos, the coaches are talking about the pace. The pace is too fast right now. They've got to slow things down, take the Bandits out of it, take the crowd out of it. They've got to slow the pace down. Back to you, Craig.
But if the Bandits score here, the crowd is going to be louder than ever. I guarantee you of that.
Kilgore took a shot in the neck. He may be hurt.
Here come the Turbos. Hamilton to Rodriguez. The shot saved by Cowie. But it went through. Cowie had it in his stick, I believe, and it just kept going.
What a terrible break. Cowie was trying to find the ball. He made the clean save. He has been sensational this game. Hey, he has had little defense in front of him to help him out. Watch the shot by Detroit. They love the fast break. Hamilton, the flashy rookie, brings it up to look for the feed. He gets over to Rodriguez. And now Rodriguez makes the fake right in the stick. Now he can't find it. Cowie looks behind him. It's in the stick. No, it's not in the stick. And it rolls off into the goal. Terrible break by Cowie. And that critical goal, they lose it again. One more chance. Cowie makes the great save. He can't find it. Looks behind him. Looks back in front. Now he's losing it off the lip of the stick.
Buffalo trailing now by 5 goals with 6:35 to go in the third quarter.
The Wave going strong here on Super Bowl weekend in Buffalo.
Shot taken by Hilt, brought in by Sawicki, and down come the Turbos. Clancy loses control of the ball, double teamed on the defense. Whistle blows. And tempers have gotten out of control. Day and Pat Lee.
Buffalo definitely trying to pick up the pace, get the crowd involved. The crowd reacting to a fight. They need to get a few goals to make this crowd react. Because I'll tell you what, this year Detroit have gotten very defensive about the physical game. Detroit's out here to defend their players. You see Levin in there, now Pat Lee. If another team wants to start shoving this offensive juggernaut around, they're ready to go to battle.
12-7 Turbos with 6:14 to go. Third quarter. Back with more on Prime Network. We are back at Memorial Auditorium offsetting Majors. The call after a fight. We have a 5-on-5 situation. The Bandits trying to come back, trailing 11-7.
Next goal critical. If they can get back to win 3, they need to get a good shot. They've had plenty of them. They just can't put away the fast break one. Teddy Sawicki.
John Veltman with an excellent defensive play. Now trying it on the other side. Shot taken. That time by Thomas Emick.
All right, this was a tired line in there for Detroit. You'll see him come off. They'll make a line switch, which will give the new line only about 20 seconds or less to get a shot off.
Hamilton, Brock, Nicola, Park, and Armando Rodriguez, the line for Detroit. This is Nicola.
I think Greg Rodriguez, remember, promised us a brand new play. We'll see if we can pick it up.
Here is Nicola. Passed it through to Rodriguez. Bruce Todman, what do you have for us?
Well, Craig, on the bench here of the Turbos, the coaches are talking about the pace. The pace is too fast right now. They've got to slow things down, take the Bandits out of it, take the crowd out of it. They've got to slow the pace down. Back to you, Craig.
But if the Bandits score here, the crowd is going to be louder than ever. I guarantee you of that.
Kilgore took a shot in the neck. He may be hurt.
Here come the Turbos. Hamilton to Rodriguez. The shot saved by Cowie. But it went through. Cowie had it in his stick, I believe, and it just kept going.
What a terrible break. Cowie was trying to find the ball. He made the clean save. He has been sensational this game. He has had little defense in front of him to help him out. Watch the shot by Detroit. They love the fast break. Hamilton, the flashy rookie, brings it up to look for the feed. He gets over to Rodriguez. And now Rodriguez makes the fake right in the stick. Now he can't find it. Cowie looks behind him. It's in a stick. No, it's not in a stick. And it rolls off into the goal. Terrible break by Cowie. And that critical goal, they lose it again. One more chance. Cowie makes the great save. He can't find it. Looks behind him. Looks back in front. Now he's losing it off the lip of the stick.
Buffalo trailing now by 5 goals with 6:35 to go in the third quarter.
The Wave going strong here on Super Bowl weekend in Buffalo.
Shot taken by Hilt, brought in by Sawicki, and down come the Turbos. Clancy loses control of the ball, double teamed on the defense. Whistle blows. And tempers have gotten out of control. Day and Pat Lee.
Well, Buffalo definitely trying to pick up the pace, get the crowd involved. The crowd reacting to a fight. They need to get a few goals to make this crowd react. Because I'll tell you what, this year Detroit has gotten very defensive about the physical game. Detroit's out here to defend their players. You see Levin in there, now Pat Lee. If another team wants to start shoving this offensive juggernaut around, they're ready to go to battle.
12-7 Turbos with 6:14 to go. Third quarter. Back with more on Prime Network. Prime Network, Major Indoor Lacrosse League Game of the Week. This week from the beautiful city of Buffalo, New York. Quite a nice looking city hall there, and unfortunately not such a nice looking score.
It's gotten kind of crazy inside. The teams have a loaded penalty box. As we look at Mito Martinello, there's 3 players for each team in each penalty box. 6 players in the penalty boxes, and this is where it all started. Darius Kilgore gets in a fight with Ronnie Martinello. Both of those players, number 6 for Detroit, number 35, it gets worse than that, folks, but that's a little bit of a hint of what went on. Both of those players were ejected. Craig, that was a loss for Buffalo. They lost out in that exchange. They lost their number 1 scorer, Darius Kilgore. They lost 9 goals, and Ronnie Martinello, a tremendous talent, but maybe was one of the oldest legs on that team, he goes out in exchange. So Buffalo loses by having Darius Kilgore ejected along with Ronnie Martinello for Detroit.
I mentioned the fact that it wasn't such a pretty score. That's from a Buffalo perspective. The Turbos enjoying a 13-8 lead with 5:08 to go, and off the face-off, ball is still loose, and Alexander will come away with it.
Penalty boxes are so full, they may have to start using the first row of the goal seats over there.
Alexander checked against the boards by Dan Pratt. Alexander holds on to the ball, has 15 seconds on the shot clock. Shot by Keenan goes wide. High bounce. And here comes Paul Gate. Paul Gate loses control of the ball. Nice defense by Keenan. He gets it back. Fires it to the far side for Kevin Finneran. Eric Gate can't catch up with the ball. Lancey does.
Lancey, one of the rookies on the Detroit team, is trying to have a nice feeder system. 2 or 3 rookies every year, Nino Martinello. Of course, last year had a tremendous class with Peter Park and the Gate brothers.
3 on the shot clock as Paul Gate takes it in. Shot clock expires, and I believe that's the first time that's happened in a non-man down situation for Detroit. Shot, score, Thomas Emmett. Off the fast break.
Well, Belton's the one that gets all the credit in my book. Belton really set this up. Emick puts it away, but it was Belton who made the defensive play first. It was Belton who took the shot in his foot. And then number 32 Belton came up and took the fast break. He hustled as fast as he could. He got the outlet pass, and then he found Tom Emick, number 37. So Wiggy had to go from the left pipe to the right pipe. A tremendous fast break with 2 players. If you've noticed, they've only had 1 player on most of their fast break. With 2 players, you make a pass, the goalie moves, and you stick it home.
The Turbos call timeout with 4:06 to go. In the third quarter, Detroit 13, Buffalo 9. Russ Cowie coming over to talk with his coach, Buck McCready.
Cowie could not be playing any better in my book. He has played a sensational game so far. Not good defensive support throughout the game. He's had a lot of shots in his face. And now this team has to play against a 4-goal deficit without their leading scorer on the field.
Bruce Todman, some interesting words down on the bench, I'm sure.
Craig, down here on the bench, the Turbos have just had a timeout. They've talked about calming everything down, slowing everything down.
And I guess they should, because they don't want to lose too many players physically. They've got the 4-goal lead. Now is where, with 4 minutes left, it's still only the third period. You know, this period has taken a while with the fights. But Craig, a goal here, if they can get back within the magic 3, and Buffalo will have 12,000 fans on their side.
Tavares with a one-handed shot. I think he just wanted to get the ball away. Here's Hall. Hall fakes, saves Sawicki. Sawicki pulls it in. Outlet pass to Brian Mikula.
Hall took himself out of that shot with a away from the goal fade.
Mikula with a soft shot, deflected wide by Cowie. Loose ball. Hustling to it. Paul Brock. Armando Rodriguez takes the shot. Cowie deflects it wide.
Watch for the outlet. Tired legs right now. They had a good chance there for a fast break. There you can see both teams getting a little bit tired.
Tavares will give it to Keenan at midfield. Keenan moves around Brock. Shot, score! The Bandits are coming back.
3 straight goals for the Bandits, and 12,000 folks are getting behind them. They're back to within the magic 3, and this guy can really stick it home. Keenan, a tremendous shot. Watch the juke move. He freezes the defender, runs right around him, and now he comes in for the shot. Paul Brock could not stay with him. Watch Paul Brock. He totally faked out. He goes to the fake, and he's all alone as Keenan comes in one-on-one. Beautiful fake. a fake that would make any running back in the NFL very proud, and stuffed it behind Sawicki. That's a magic number, Craig. If you get within 3, you feel like you're in the game. They haven't been within 3 since the first quarter. This has got to be an uplifting moment for the Buffalo Bandits.
Bandits will try to pull within 2 with less than 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Emick, the shot goes wide. Ball bounces into the Turbo bench, and Detroit will have possession. This is Gary Gait. Rich Kilgore behind him. I don't think Gait realized he was coming down there. Gait with a shot, gets his own rebound. Emick is all over Gary Gait, but he will control the ball.
Well, the Bandits got away with one there. Gait walks right in with Kilgore behind him, and they got the save, thanks mostly to Cowie.
Intercepted by Rich Kilgore. It's a 2-on-1 situation. Kilgore to Keenan, to Kilgore. Shot, score! Rich Kilgore playing a beautiful fast break with John Keenan.
Well, Detroit thought they had this game wrapped up, but you can hear it on the monitor. These Bandits are too legit to quit. 2-on-1, top of the screen, Keenan. Rich sees him. Kilgore now looks behind him. He knows he's free. He goes over to Keenan. That pulls the defense. Now Keenan head fakes the shot, comes back to Kilgore, who almost botches it, but Sawicki can't pick it up, and he gets the shot. Watch it. Sawicki can't get it cleanly. Kilgore picks it back up right over the shoulder.
Derek Keenan with the assist there. Beautifully done. Here comes Hilt. Hilt right in front of the crease. Couldn't get it. That's John Lancey.
And you see the torpedo? Yeah, John Lancey was the guy. Lancey torpedoed his body in there and saved that shot from coming at Sawicki.
Mahar tried to get the loose ball. He's taken down, holding possession. Bandits.
You don't have to ask who gets possession. Listen to that crowd.
The Bandits setting it up. John Tavares.
First time in the game, Craig, that the Bandits have scored 4 straight goals.
Pittsburgh could not do that last week. Moradian couldn't get it past Rodriguez and Muir. Ball loose in front of the crease. Bruce, the Turbos must have a lot to talk about.
Down on the Turbo bench here, there's been an attitude adjustment right now. Most of the Turbos are down, their heads are down. Buffalo Bandits, on the other hand, are all standing up and raring to go.
The attitude may be a little bit worse after the no-goal call down here at the defensive end of Buffalo. Buffalo on the offensive here.
Saw Mike Ventura right there. He called it. Crease infraction, no goal.
Shot by Moradian hits the post. Pulled in by Veltman.
Confidence level very high in the Bandits.
Kerr with 20 on the shot clock. This is Veltman. Tried to get it inside to Emick. Loose ball. Sawicki out of the crease. Sawicki picks up the loose ball. Spins. Takes it down. Intercepted. Alexander. Fakes. Goes in. Shot. Saves Sawicki.
Alexander held it. One fake too much. Sawicki was not set. Alexander came in. You can tell he's slow because he hasn't played for 5 years. He doesn't have his normal quickness, and Sawicki was able to reset himself.
Brian Nicola with 15 on the game clock. Paul Gait going to try to get a shot off. He does with 8.2 seconds to go.
Well, that's a killer. Paul Gait has scored 2 straight goals, and he's doing it all by himself right now. Vito Marnello, he's getting a little bit of the Gatorade himself. Needing a lot of help on the sideline. One more time, Paul Gait picks this thing up all by himself and against 2 defenders. Sheer velocity beats Cowie. There it is. It was a loose ball situation, and when they came out to play defense, Emick was just not close enough. Cowie was unsettled, and the velocity of that shot and the location makes it the 4th goal for tonight for Paul Gait, and that 3-goal lead again for Detroit.
Paul Gait, who missed last week's game, back this week with 4 goals. 4 seconds to go. Buffalo trying to get one last shot, but they will not be able to get it off before the buzzer sounds. 14-11. Detroit with a 3-goal lead. They're on their feet in Buffalo.
It was a great quarter for the Bandits. They're now within 3. They have advanced. They held them off. They lost the first quarter. There was a tie in the second, and they won the third. If they can win the fourth, the Bandits can do it.
Don't go away. The Memorial Auditorium is where we are.
And there's a little banner from Prince George. It's way out in the western provinces of Canada. These folks follow the box game, the indoor game, all throughout Canada. Right now, there's about 200 streaming guys in their favorite watering hole in Prince George really enjoying this game.
14-11, a loose ball hold the call. The Bandits will have the ball going from left to right in the final period. This is Hamley over to Tavares. Rich Kilgore tried to force it in. Loose ball picked up. Tavares is there. For that matter, so is Jack Sebastian.
I think they're going to have to give it to the Bandits. They will. The substitution box came open, and Tavares went right through the door. Third quarter was really a good quarter for Buffalo. Hamley just misses a shot now, but look at this. Gate, Rodriguez and Gate, but meanwhile 3 more for Buffalo. But here's where 3 more goals for Buffalo makes it 4 in a row, and that brought them back to within 3 after Paul Gate scored. A good quarter for Buffalo. They've reacted well to the expulsion of Darius Kilgore. Sometimes, Craig, when your leading scorer goes out, you tend to do things you weren't going to do before he left.
Tavares with 1 on the shot clock. The reset off the save by Sawicki. But Sawicki will pick up the loose ball, and it will be Detroit on the break. Here is Gary Gate behind the back and in.
That's a shot that had 12,000 fans going, whoa. Unbelievable talent. Cowie was set for the left-handed shot, but he wraps it all around his body. This is exceptional skill. I don't have to tell you that. Watch Gary wrap it all the way around his shoulder. Cowie is set up for the left-handed shot. That one comes off his right shoulder as if it was a right-handed shot. The whole right-hand corner was open. Unbelievable the way the Gate brothers can shoot, and a goalie can very little prepare for that kind of talent. At 3 Gate goals in a row. 2 by Paul, 1 by Gary.
4 goals the lead by the Turbos. Keenan brings it down, looking for the shot. Instead, the pass off to Brian Hall. Beltman with a shot saved Sawicki. Sawicki has played every moment of this game, as has Ross Cowie.
There's no question that Sawicki is a little bit tired from doing that. Cowie has to be tired too. It's up to Buffalo to move Sawicki and really make him work to make the saves.
Keenan working with 20 on the shot clock. Beltman shot right into the pads of Ted Sawicki.
Not the shot you want. Again, you want to move him pipe to pipe. He's getting tired. He's fatigued. He's probably lost 4 or 5 pounds in just perspiration. Make him move.
Rodriguez to Gate behind the back. Lancey catches up with it, but the ball is loose and picked up by Keenan. Keenan just gets the ball away, and if that had bounced a little bit lower, I think the Bandits may have retained possession as Emick was right there.
He really was. That was the one spot along the side there where there's no glass because of that penalty box. Bad luck.
Well, Buffalo getting an opportunity here. Paul Day coming down as the ball knocked away momentarily by Brian Nicola. Here's Moravian. Hill trying to get the shot, but Peter Park with the defense. And crease violation will be the call.
That was good defense by that line. That's a line that's not known for the defense. Both Nicola and Park are offensive players, but Nicola really gave a sensational effort to catch up with that fast break and check it from behind. Credit that save, or the stop of that fast break, to Brian Nicola.
Here's John Hamilton. Inside to Peter Park. Point blank shot saved by Cowie.
Detroit has calmed the crowd down with 2 straight goals. After 4 by Buffalo, they really need the PA system trying to get the crowd involved, but nothing's going to do it more than a goal will, and that's what Buffalo needs.
Here is Rich Kilgore. 12 on the shot clock, not much time to operate. Kilgore jumping in. Sawicki moves it away, shot for goal. looks like a wrist shot in hockey, puts it in.
Tavares was really on top of that shot. Beautiful job. It looks like Tavares and Keenan are the guys who are going to save this team if anybody does. Watch the shot high and over by Kilgore. It bounces out. Tavares lunges out and just a little bit of a 7-iron shot puts it in. Good try by Rich Kilgore. And Tavares with that 7-iron whacks it right over the shoulder of Sawicki. Tavares, a true leader in the offensive end, and I think it's on this guy's shoulder along with Keenan. They look like the shooters, Craig, as we go into this fourth quarter. Only 11 minutes left, but that magic within 3 has been attained.
3 goals the deficit for Buffalo. Kevin Finneran will bring it down for the Turbos.
And this is a unit that Buck McCready thinks he can fast break on. Let's see if Buffalo can get a fast break, Craig.
Mueller with a shot. Ball stolen away. Kilgore. Tavares trying to hold on to the ball, and we may have a penalty, and we do. The penalty will be called against Kevin Finneran. We'll be back in just a moment. 15-12 Turbos. Back at the Memorial Auditorium, 16-13 the score.
Rich Kilgore scored to make it 15-13, and then on the next fast break, the crowd was going nuts, and Paul Gate silenced them again. That's 4 straight goals for Detroit by the Gate brothers. 2 by Paul, 2 by Gary, or no, change that, 3 by Paul, 1 by Gary, and they quiet the crowd. Here he goes again.
Paul Gate, one-on-one with Russ Cowie.
They'll kill you 9 times out of 10. I previewed one earlier tonight, and they didn't get it, but Cowie's really going to be hard-pressed to make that save against the talent of the Gate brothers.
The last goal took the crowd out a little bit. Now they're very quiet.
There he goes, all by himself. Nobody behind him. He doesn't even have to look to check. One fake there. Really nothing Cowie can do. Paul Gate with the sensational stick skills. He can move it up, freeze the goalie for one corner shot, pull it back to the other. The Canadian talent evident from the box league up there. Paul Gate, 6th goal tonight. We talked about him being hungry to score. I think he's whetted his appetite a little bit.
Here come the Bandits. Brian Hall spinning. Loses the ball, but we may see a penalty here.
Well, Hamilton, that was a good penalty. Hamilton will go in the box for 2 minutes, but, you know, you've got a fast break. You might as well take them out because they have not been very effective on their fast breaks. Here you go. First quarter, Detroit won big time. Second quarter, very, very close. Third quarter was a great quarter for Buffalo. 6-4, they win that one. And then here we're pretty close again. They couldn't sustain the drive. Every time Buffalo makes the big push, the Gate brothers slam the door. Power play 5-1-4.
Here's Keenan. I thought he was going to shoot. Then he took it over to Brian Hall, who did.
Good power play goal. Nice ball movement finally. The crowd, they're still in it. There's Hall. Good look at him. Brian Hall standing down that shooter's position. The guy low down by the goalie is really a finisher's position, and that's where he wants to put it away. They move it out. That's Keenan who faked the shot all the way down to Hall. Meanwhile, the defense, watch Sebastian 15. He started to cheat. And when Sebastian moved out and created that zone, that's when he found himself open. Keenan found Hall, and then Hall just put it behind Sawicki. Sawicki again beaten by the lack of defensive pressure on that corner.
And we're back in that 3-goal territory you're always talking about.
It makes the team much more comfortable because you can score 3 in a fairly short amount of time here in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League.
Face-off won by the Turbos. Peter Park loses control of the ball. Here comes Alexander. Alexander in, takes the shot. Sawicki with a save. Peter Park clearing it out of the crease because Hilt was right there. Park on the ground, has the ball stolen away by Hilt, but foul will be called.
That was the first team All-Pro save by Ted Sawicki. Alexander came down, a couple jukes, took a good shot. That could have broken the back of Detroit, but Sawicki comes up with a big save.
Offensive series goes awry by the Turbos, and they have 10 seconds on the shot clock. Nikula on the outside. Peter Park puts it in.
Well, so tough to defend. Peter Park picks up in the crease, and Rodriguez, very hard to find him. But Park puts up a very good target at 6'5", 225. Rodriguez looking at the goal, finds Park, so he looks over to the left. Park there comes out of the pack between two defenders and just takes it backhanded, turns around and shoots. Watch, takes it backhanded, turns around and shoots right away against the unsettled Cowie. Cowie trying to locate the target that he has to settle for, and when the crease man picks it off, very tough for him to get reset. Again, a defensive lapse gives Detroit the good high percentage shot, and they don't miss many of those.
Off the face-off, no one able to get control of it. Fighting for it is Tavares. Gary Gait is there. Tavares is there. Hamley is there.
Craig,
and let's see who will get it.
We're down to super crunch time. They can't keep swapping these little swings. It's been a pretty even game, again, since that first quarter. But now, obviously, with 9 minutes left, Buff McCready has to find a way to sustain the offensive pressure and at the same time box them in on defense.
Shots on goal tied at 54 right now. That's not something that happens against the Turbos often. Finneran to Mueller. Pratt tried to put it in. Save Cowie. Pratt gets the rebound. Trying to find a centering pass. Mueller loses control of the ball. Nice defensive play by Hamley. 20 on the shot clock as Finneran will play the point. They'll slow it down.
This is the unit that Detroit, again, that the Buffalo team can fast break on. Let's watch they try to outlet the ball quickly.
Whistle away from the ball as Jack Sebastian. Tonight's game is brought to you in part by the Radisson Hotel and Suites, the official headquarters of major indoor lacrosse in Buffalo.
Well, this game is still 3 goals apart, but meanwhile, after it was 18-15, Paul Gait had his 7th goal of the night. Right there, splitting the defense and making Park the target. He takes it himself. Then on the other end of the field, Bill Mahar takes it himself, puts the ball in behind Sawicki, and right there, hit by Hamilton, number 4, puts their team, Buffalo, in an extra man situation.
Until just a moment ago when they were called for illegal procedure, too many men on the field, and that will make it a 4-on-4 situation.
Wow.
6:11 to go here at the Memorial Auditorium, and
Buff McCready saying, how can we do that? We have a great situation. In the first half, you might remember, this is part of being an experienced team like Detroit is. They had a 5-minute major that they really didn't do anything on. They didn't score on it, and they blew the opportunity. Here they have a chance to climb back in to a chance to tie because they had a power play, and they blow it.
Delay of game, the actual call along the boards. And Bob Hamley didn't see that pass coming. Long pass. Here's Paul Gait off the pass from Sawicki. Straight power.
Gary Gait wraps it around. Same shot as he used in the third quarter. It's really unbelievable. Cowie is playing first-team All-Pro goalie. Look at him. He is absolutely disgusted because he made a sensational save. The ball just happens to deflect out to Gary Gait, and Gary Gait puts in. Here we go from Sawicki, a tremendous outlet pass right on the mark. Now watch the save by Cowie. He just jams it up and over, bounces out to Gary, who wraps it around for what would be a right-handed shot for a guy who didn't have those kind of skills, right into the corner. One more time. Great save by Cowie, but he bounces it out. Ball didn't get the shot, but Gary takes the wraparound. Cowie didn't even have time to get reset. Cowie has done everything he can. Back to a 4-goal lead. Very tough to beat that with 5 minutes left.
And ironically, who is the assist leader for the Detroit Turbos now with 10 assists? Ted Sawicki.
Sawicki outscored a lot of people in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League because of his brilliant outlet passes.
Face-off pile-up. Alexander gets it away to Veltman. A 4-goal deficit with 5 minutes to go. That's what faces the Buffalo Bandits. Shot. Hits Gary Gait in the back. Off the rebound. What a shot. And a goal by Kevin Alexander. Had a man on his back, and he still put it in.
Well, he had Mueller on his back. Look at Kevin Alexander. He's only about 5'10", 160. Watch this. Big defensive play drags him down, but Kevin Alexander, the Hall of Fame player, He goes back into his old bag of tricks, falling down on his knees to beat Sawicki. Tremendous free play from one of the greats, one of the guys, the best guys to ever play the game in Canada.
You don't suppose that he's saying, I'm too old for this?
I think he's thinking about it. He's a tremendous coach, has not played box for 5 years. He did represent his country in the World Games in Australia 2 years ago in the field game. So he's still in great shape, as you can see, but you need to be in exceptional shape to play this up-and-down game of the indoor league.
4:51 to go, 20-17 the score, and Gary Gait wins the faceoff.
The faceoffs are critical, Craig, and I think that it might be asking too much of Alexander to handle the faceoff duties at this time.
Finneran with a shot deflected wide by Cowie. And it looks like the Bandits will have a fast break. Tavares with a shot. Hand saved by Sawicki. And a push away from the ball will give the ball back to the Bandits with 4:20 to go. Down by 3.
It was Danny Pratt who just shoved Tavares down on the shot. They've got a chance here to come back to within 2.
Keenan with a shot. That's blocked from the outside by Terry Martinello. Finneran on the fast break. Finneran shot. Deflected by Cowie. 4 minutes to go.
2 tired teams out there. The defense very tired. Now, Buffalo will have a chance to change the line against, first of all, a very tired line led by Terry Martinello, but a line that does not run that well.
Tavares with a shot wide. Mahar picks it right back up. Over on the far side, Alexander against Pratt. Alexander fighting, looking for the shot. Pratt knocks it out of his stick. And that will be a 30-second violation called against the Bandits.
Alexander taking too much on himself that time, holding the ball way too long. You got to move it. You had a very tired defense out there. If you move the ball 2 or 3 times, you're going to get a good shot. He played into their tired hands by holding it.
Ryan Nicola, very tired, didn't even see that pass coming. Ball trickles through as Cowie sends it long. Here's Mahar. He'll hold it up. And a line change taking place, but a bad pass by Tavares. Tries to go after it. Ball will be controlled only for a moment by Nicola, who loses control over the glass. It will be possession Buffalo. Tavares. Or check that. That's Brian Hall. Try to get it into Tavares.
Well, they're making passes they don't have to make. What you really have to get, obviously, is a good shot. So why take yourself out of the offense by making passes that only have marginal success chances?
2:30 to go. And Nicola pushes the ball away with his hand to get a stoppage of play. That will give the ball to the Bandits, but only for a moment.
Hey, good play by Nicola. Had he not hit the ball with his hand, they would have had a fast break the other way. So he was smart enough to go ahead and bat it back the other way. Go ahead and take the possession change. Gives him a chance to get off the field.
Paul Gait trying to move in. Going against Hall. Now going against Rich Kilgore. 15 on the shot clock. Paul Gait with a shot right to the back of the net.
I think that'll do it. 2 minutes left. Great run made by the Bandits. They just couldn't sustain it. They couldn't hold off the Gait brothers. And they really had set up their defense to stop these 2 guys. But that's asking too much. Paul Gait takes it, picks off. Gary comes up with a left-handed shot. Just sets himself after getting the pick. Watch. Just sets up one big step. 100 mile an hour. Right by Cowie.
And timeout is called by the Detroit Turbos. Leading with 2:06 to go in the game. 21-17. Back with more of the Game of the Week on Prime Network. 2 minutes to go at the Memorial Auditorium. 21-17. Turbos. Crease violation will give the ball to Buffalo. A new record here. We will tell you about it in just a moment. Tavares with the errant pass picked up by Alexander.
Paul Gait, we talked about him chomping at the bit because he didn't play last week. He has set the a new all-time record for goals in a game.
And what hustle there by Rich Kilgore as Buffalo has emptied the net.
Last second, they pulled the goalie to give themselves a little bit of an advantage.
And 30-second violation, the new record to Paul Gate, 8 goals in a game.
Eclipsing Mark Gold of the Washington Wave that was set to February 28, 1988. Mark Gold still playing, one of only 12 players who played all 6 years. Mark Gold playing now for Pittsburgh.
Here's Keenan with 1 minute to go. Shot off the top pipe, it looked like there. Taken by Rich Kilgore. 1:01 to go, and we're under a minute now. Shot taken by Kilgore once again. Picked up by Sawicki.
Craig, you know what's just as impressive as the 8 goals is that he has scored 7 of the last 10 goals for Detroit. Paul Gate, one guy, 7 of the last 10 goals for his team.
Gary Gate trying to pick one up, but it's broken up. Veltman tried the outlet pass. Rodriguez with the interception. Finneran with a shot and a goal.
A little bit too much right now to ask for Cowie, who has played sensationally all game, and he is running out of juice. Under a minute to go. Tremendous play and a good shot by Finneran, one of the workhorses on that Detroit Turbo team. Finneran came to this team from New England, and New England, of course, now Boston. And watch the ball go all the way across the field with 3 sets Cowie. Cowie just losing reaction time because he's been in there for so long.
22-17, 30.7 seconds to go in the ball game. Well, I think he may be done for the night.
I think he's done enough.
I believe so.
New record in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League, 8 goals in 1 game. He might as well add that one to his repertoire. He's got every other offensive record I think there is. He and his brother Gary.
18 seconds to go. And they're looking for a long one. Oh, my!
A goal by Ted Sawicki. So the goalie gets his first goal, I think. Maybe period. First goal that I can remember. He had 14 assists last year. He's got a handful of them this year. But, boy, he rifled that one out. He's got such a tremendous outlet pass. It's not stretching the imagination to think he could find that 4x4.5 goal. Watch this. Just bears down, keeps the ball low so it doesn't bounce too high. And pretty good shot from the guy about 70 yards away.
Credit to our television crew for a pretty shot there. They had that one pegged all the way. 10 seconds to go. Mueller trying to get it to Park for one last shot. And the Detroit Turbos will go to 3-0. 23-17. Let's take a look at the GMC Truck play of the game.
And it stars Ted Sawicki, first team All-Pro in this league, and this is why. Every time Buffalo pushed the game to an offensive level that might put them back in it, it was Ted Sawicki who made saves from every possible position on the field.
And the Coors Light player of the game? Paul Gate. Of course, he's standing by with Bruce Todman. Bruce?
Down here with Paul Gate, the Coors Light MVP of the game, an 8-goal performance. Paul, you were sick a couple of weeks ago. Last week you were caught in a snowstorm. How does it feel to be healthy now?
Well, Bruce, it feels great to be healthy, and it feels great just to be here. I mean, after missing that game last week, I've had a pretty slow start this season, so I wanted to come out this game and just run as hard as I could and do whatever I could to help the team, and so far, it worked.
It worked pretty well. In fact, you actually got 7 of the last 12 goals of the team. What was it going on in the first half? You guys couldn't get to Cowie.
Well, yeah, he was playing real well. It was tough to score on him. Personally, I haven't really played in 3 weeks, so it's my first chance to get out here, so it took me a while to get warmed up.
Paul, thanks very much. Craig, back to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. 3 straight wins for the Detroit Turbos to begin 1992. 23-17 the final in this one, and we'll be back to wrap it up after this.